Sharp French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time. I confirmed it. A whole society determined.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back. I am your host, Sean French. We have another amazing guest today, born and raised in Arkansas, now residing in New Jersey. She is a badass entrepreneur who is the founder and owner of Achieving Success LLC. She's a TEDx speaker, amazing woman, very cool background. I can't wait for you to learn more about her today. But Olivia Akin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and I'm so excited to be on.
Yeah, I'm super excited to connect with you. So, how's your day going so far?
It's going. I mean, as your title and theme of the show is, sometimes you got to just keep going and you have to be determined. And I woke up this morning and there were things on the plate that I was like, I want to do, and certain things that you're dreading doing, but you know you have to get them done. And that's the kind of day I'm having where I'm just like, hey, gotta knuckle down, gotta be determined. I was like, gotta show up for, Sean's show and have these goals met beforehand. So like, I'm not even thinking about the things I don't want to do.
Dude, I love that. It's so funny because it's a big thing out there in the space now. Everybody talking about doing the things you don't want to, doing the hard things. And it's funny when we're feeling in a very low energy state, right? And then you do something that you don't want to do, and then another thing that you don't want to do, and all of a sudden it stacks up, and you have this evidence that you are going to push through whatever it is that you don't want to. And then when it's time to show up for a podcast or a speaking engagement, you're in this rich energy and you're ready to tear down the freaking house. It's really cool that way. You experienced that?
I have. And what I do is there's certain things or people I work with where I know it's not going to be as easy because I know what tasks are on the table to get done, right?
Yeah.
And so I go, okay, if I write everything down, let me also say that I have my meetings in my Google Calendar, but I also write down every task I have to do.
Oh my God, we're twins.
Yeah. Personal and professional is in it. Planner, it's actually sitting right next to me. And everything's in there. And so I will also look at the week. When I have a task, for example, that I know is going to take up time, energy, and I know, for example, Mondays are a heavy hitting day and Thursdays are a really heavy hitting day. Then I go, okay, I know these 2 days of the week are going to be more heavy hitting for me. Well, that's not going to be the day that I necessarily put this on the schedule to do because I know this will drain me. But it is something I have to get done. So what other day could I do it? And again, there's always things that come up, right? So this was a task I actually had on my calendar for Tuesday that things happened on Tuesday and I just couldn't do. So then it got pushed to today. But I remind myself that, okay, wake up and that thing you don't want to do first. Do it and get it off the list. Because I know that as the day's moving and my energy is starting to deplete or get really wrapped up in the things that I didn't plan to have on my plate, that when the time comes, I'm going to go, okay, I'll just leave that till tomorrow, right? We all have that want to procrastinate once it gets to a certain point in the day. So understand what point in the day that is for you and push the thing that you're not looking forward to do or that can be more draining to the time before that.
Dude, it's a good point. And while you're going through that, I'm thinking of one word, adaptive. Right? You're being adaptive, adaptability, right? It's like, okay, we have to be able to kind of be that chameleon throughout the day and kind of go with the flow. Because as we were talking a little bit off air, I had some things going on. We had to push the show back twice, and but dude, just sometimes things move so fast, especially in this business, to where you think you have the time, you think you have everything set, and then all of a sudden you look and you're like, oh shit, like I forgot about a kids event that I had to go to, right? And I'm like, oh my God. And then it's just strange, and just being able to adapt and, move freely through our schedule is is everything in being an entrepreneur. I mean,
Mhm.
how have you found being able to be, I guess you'd say, uh, you know, accommodating to your schedule or make, nimble moves? How's that helped you as an entrepreneur?
For me, it has helped me in a few different facets. My favorite that I have come to realize with entrepreneurship and just the way I am is it gives me the ability to show up and be present in different environments.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is, for example, you talked, I was born, grew up for a few years in Arkansas, then grew up in the Northeast in New Jersey, went to college in Connecticut. And I thought I was going to live in New Jersey rest of my life. I was like, you're not getting me out of my hometown. I'm be back. I'm good. Great to a lot of different locations. But my boyfriend's a chief in the U.S. Coast Guard. So I'm currently, and we're recording this, I'm currently in Florida.
oh,
And yes, because I go back and forth now, and we are actually getting ready to relocate for 2 years to Juneau, Alaska.
oh,
And
wow.
yes. So big move, right? A lot going on and talk about like being nimble and adjusting
Wow.
and
Yeah.
all of that. But that being said, entrepreneurship has shown me that you have to ride through those tough times, but also show up in other times to regroup yourself, refocus.
Hmm.
You know, I mentioned all that because a few weeks ago, I went on a trip with my parents and my boyfriend. We went to Disney World, right? Love Disney World. And we all met there for a few days. And leading up to that, I told everyone I got all my work done for my clients prior to leaving. I said, hey, if you don't get this back to me prior to Sunday night, I will do it Thursday when I come back into the office, which I almost never do. But I was like, hey, I have been going at full speed in all cylinders,
Hmm.
business, personal, preparing for this move, going back and forth, traveling for speaking jobs, that I need that time with my family. So not only do I feel present in those moments and not feeling like I have to take work calls, but I can make memories with them and I can refuel so that
Yeah.
when I show back up to work, now I'm not drained. I'm not run down. I've had the moments of clarity. So for me, that's one of the things I love as entrepreneurship is like you have to grind it out. You have to keep pushing. You're the only one holding yourself accountable. If you don't
Hmm.
do tasks, you're not making money,
Hmm.
right? And that can be really stressful, really overwhelming because not a lot of people understand that feeling of like it is really all on you. But at the same time, if I want to go on a trip, I get my stuff done and I will go on that trip. There is no one telling me I can't go.
Dude, that's the most liberating thing, Olivia, because I left corporate America in January, right? I have my own payroll company, then I have my own brand, with this stuff. And, I finally made the move, finally ripped the band-aid off and like, holy shit.
Mhm.
Holy shit. Like, it's the coolest fucking thing ever. Because
And
I could go anywhere I want. Like if I wanted to pick up, well, I mean, as long as my wife says it's cool, but I could just fucking pick up right now. Like I'm out. Like I don't have to
mhm.
tell anybody shit. Like,
Yeah.
and that's a
And
liberating feeling, but it's also scary as hell, right? Because to your point, you have to stay focused. It's like, my question to you is, in those moments where, we're talking about staying focused as an entrepreneur, what are some like what are some tools that you use for yourself, right? And
mhm.
possibly help your clients with to achieve their success?
So one thing I do, and it goes back to something I already mentioned, is writing it down,
Hmm.
figuring out how you look at the goals you have going on and the things you've going on. Now, some people, for some of my clients, it's putting everything into their calendar. So every task goes into Google Calendars. For me, it's writing it all down because I get so busy and so many things come up from clients. Like I just got a client text right before this call asking to jump on a call and pick my brain about a possible strategy implementation that they want to do. Okay, well, that was in my calendar, but now I can write it down. And when I get it done, I can cross it off. I have my nice red pen that I carry with everywhere. pencil and a red pen in my planner. And I could cross it off. So it shows me what I have left to do, what I've already gotten done. And realistically, that also balances for me how much space I have to take on some of these extra tasks during the day.
Yeah.
Do I have the time to go out to dinner tonight? Right? Or is it better for us to eat at home? Am I actually going to show up in that environment? And so for me, a big thing on staying focused is if my friends text me to go out or we want to go to an event, I'm writing it down. I'm blocking out the time physically and committing to it by putting it in the planner. And I hold myself accountable to this planner. And it also helps me that as I move throughout the day, everything goes in there. So I know, doesn't matter how overwhelmed I get or whatever, doing laundry gets put in my calendar, right? So then once I get it done, I can go, okay, I did it. There's nothing that gets left off the table.
I love it, dude. Priorities, right? Blocking things off, personal and professional. A lot of times, people ask me, do you block things off with your kids? I go, yeah, because I want that time to be their time. And a lot of people say that's very impersonal. I go, well, first of all, it's my life, my children. And when I'm with them, I want it to be for them. So like this morning, my daughter had this luau, a little lower, like she's a little one. She's going to kindergarten next year. And the lower school had this whole event in 2 different gyms there. And it was just this fun luau. They're playing games. I was the temporary tattoo guy. So I was tatting kids up. It was freaking dope. And I had a blast. But my phone was in my pocket the whole time. So much so that my wife texted me 4 or 5 times. Well, probably 3 times. And I never answered her. And then I would see her and I'm like, hey, and I didn't even know that she was texting me because I was being present. Right. And I think I know when we schedule things out like that, it can help us be present. And it's so important because like you touched on, and for those of you that are listening now that are wrapped up in your career or wrapped up in your extracurriculars and you go on vacation, you should not feel guilty about disconnecting and being with your family or your friends on that vacation and creating amazing memories. Because the bottom line is, I think most of people in society today are super unhappy and unhealthy because they lack presence.
And I think I could agree with that. And I came from environments that in past work experiences, because of the environments they were in, right? I was the youngest intern at the New York Football Giants. You want to stay there. You're working at a very high caliber with very high caliber individuals. Also, in the role I had to be available 24 hours a day. There were times where my athlete, one time, and my parents still tell this story of like, it was my first year and I was interning, and I had an athlete call me at midnight because their connecting flight got delayed and they didn't want people to recognize them or for them to fall asleep and miss their flight. So I was on the phone with them for 3 hours. And at one point, my parents are both doctors, so they wake up super early in the morning and they're hearing this noise. Because again, at the time I was home from college and my dad walks in, he's like, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just on the phone, blah, blah, blah. And I explained it to him. But there were many times, family dinners, that I'd get a call from athletes. Or then when I went into the supply chain industry, even to present day, where people, whatever I'm doing, go, okay, well, I can reach you. And it isn't until, honestly, I became an entrepreneur and I was really like, I have full control over my schedule. I'm the owner, I'm the boss. There are times, right, and we all talk about balance here, that work-life balance, as much as we would love to go 50-50, is not 50-50 as an entrepreneur.
It can never be, but with anything, right?
Right. And so for me, I go, okay, this is when I am available. And I hold strong to say, you cannot call me and text me, 24 hours. And I have clients who do, but they know, me, reiterating it to them and showing through example, that, yeah, you're also a business owner and this is important to you. And first thing when I wake up and I start my business, if you text me at midnight, I'm not responding anymore. I'll answer you at 7 a.m. But it's
Yeah.
also putting those habits in for yourself. But I think I always thought working in those environments that to really grow and achieve what I thought success looked like at the time was being all in all the
Yeah.
time, always being accessible. If someone emails me, I'm responding because, like, what will happen if I don't, right?
Yeah.
And there's been so many moments I've missed or I've been there and I've missed because I wasn't actually present. And now, as an entrepreneur, I think one of the biggest rewards we can get um, through, our own experiences in owning this business is like we have the option of saying, this is when I'm going to be present in business, and this is when I'm going to be present personally, and I have the power.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy because like I started, you know, because I pick up my kids mostly, from school because I can. So it's like it's typically work until, 3, and then I go get them, and then they come back and they do their homework, and I'm like, all right, kids, you're doing your homework. Daddy's gonna finish working. Okay, and then at 5, I'm all you. It's like, and some days it's not 5. Some days I'll cut it short. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm not gonna do anything else today, right? But but I know when they go to bed, I can always pick it back up, right? Because my wife, she works at night too. She likes to do things on the computer, so it gives me the opportunity to do some things. But again, like as long as you're present in those moments, like that is a crucial thing, even as an entrepreneur, because yeah, we make our own schedule, but we also eat what we kill, right? So it's like there's that fine line there, right? And it's just like you said, that trying to reach that balance isn't really achievable. And it's funny because everybody talks about you have to have better balance, Sean. Sean, you need to be more balanced. It's like define balanced, asshole, because let's really think about this. You say you balance, right? Well, that means equal. Okay. And if I'm working 7 hours a day, I cannot work out 7 hours a day. I cannot spend 7 hours a day with my family, right? That's 21 hours. So I'm going to sleep for 3 hours. You see my point? It's like, no, it's not balance that we need. It's presence. And that is an overarching theme on this episode that we're talking right now, is being present. And what I love about the show is it always takes on its own animal. Like you get into the flow of the conversation, and the word presence just keeps coming up, right? And I think it's important. It's just for people listening, you cannot be, there's not 100% balance in everything you're going to do. The biggest thing that we can give you right now is we already have. Put your things in your electronic calendar, write them down, and be there for them. Like truly be there for them, and that only thing in that block of time. Because I'm sure you'll agree, Olivia, is like once we all can commit to that and do that consistently for 120 days, how different is our lives going to look?
Mm-hmm. It's going to look very different. And I also want to add the challenge there is really think about what your priorities are today and what that success in achieving those goals look like. And that's something I talk a lot with my podcast clients or my business owners is like, one, what does it look like to you to be present? And what does that look like right now? Does that mean for you have to start with the habit of turning your phone upside down, not having it in the room? Like, what will get you to the point where you can be physically present? The second thing is, what does those priorities look like? Are your priorities for the week? And again, those should be changing. They shouldn't always be the constant same thing for the 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. They should be changed. What are your priorities for the week? And then break it down to the day. What are the things like, I enjoy Chick-fil-A. The Chick-fil-A in Florida does bingo. So like on Thursday nights for an hour, which I think is genius because they get the grandparents who have no kids, who don't have that, can come in for bingo. The young kids, and everyone gets to socialize together. And So every Thursday from 5:30 to 7:15, my calendar's blocked off because I'm going to bingo. I'm having that time with my boyfriend.
Hmm.
I'm having that time to build relationships with the community and paying it forward. So that's a priority for me.
Yeah.
Every Thursday night, that's happening. Where does the priorities lay in certain tasks? And then three, and why I named my show Achieving Success with Olivia Akin and my business Achieving Success is what looks like success for me when I was in college, working professional sports, then going over supply chain, all these different things. And now owning my business, they've all pivoted, they've all changed. And they should, because every day there's changes going on. We have new perspectives, we have new experiences, we have new thoughts, right? So, what does success, whether it's a goal, a task, what does that look like? I mean, what are the things you can break it down into to make sure you're holding yourself accountable to actually meet that? And sometimes that is, okay, like this, and we talked about, of like changing the date of the podcast. It worked for both of us. We did it. And we're still achieving the goal of having me as a guest and me being able to be a guest on your podcast. It just looked a little different in time frame, but we still hit the goal.
Southwest Florida is one of the most beautiful places on the planet to live. For those of you that are thinking of moving from other states to come to Florida, or even just moving to a different part of the state, I want you to think of a big, beautiful luxury home. Contact Legacy Luxury Builders. They are a family-owned and operated luxury residential construction company. As a family-owned business, they believe in the power of building not just homes, but legacies. Contact Legacy Luxury Builders. Yeah. Success, that's a funny one, right? Everybody has a different definition. And you touched on that. For me, like growing up, it was being a Major League Baseball player, winning a national championship at LSU, which we didn't do. And then you look at it, it's like, okay, well, this wasn't a success. Success is such a powerful word because people, like I said, have so many different definitions of it, and people get caught up in what they think success is. A lot of people think success is having millions and millions of dollars and having all the cars. I know many rich people and they're miserable. I know many people that think that if I'm just going to be a little bit more fit, I'm going to be happy. And then you see these people who are completely shredded out of their mind, look amazing without their shirt off, and they don't have a family. And then you have, people with families, right? That like no shame. I have a gorgeous family. My wife and my children are friggin' beautiful. And there's times I'll find myself going, we need a little bit more success here when there's somebody else that just wants what I have. And I just think it's important to talk about for the people that are listening, because someone listening right now is struggling with what their definition of success is. And they may be a teacher and thinking, well, I'm not successful because I only make $50,000, but they have everything else. They have a beautiful family. They're full of faith, full of love. Like, that's a successful person.
And I think but I know that is why I really created my business, Achieving Success, and the podcast, Achieving Success with Olivia Akin. I purposely used the word achieving because it is always pushing the needle and pushing it, and it's changing. You're always working towards what that success looks like. And you could get there and stay there for 2 months, let's say, and then your idea of success changes or what you need changes. And the whole premise of the podcast I host is in the fact that I bring on celebrities, current or former pro athletes, entrepreneurs, and employees from all walks of life, all over the world, all different industries, to talk about what achieving success really looks like and what those high highs and low lows are. Because at the end of the day, I think society has put such a notion on what we should think success looks like. Again, like you mentioned, the wealth, the cars, the nice house, the going to high school, going to college, and then you're going to make those 6 figures, which anyone who works in corporate or in professional knows that's not really how life goes, right? And so when I started the podcast, it was really about, let's pull back the curtain. Let's have those organic, real conversations about what life is about and what success means, because it should change, it will change. And to be happy, what I have found in my own journey as an entrepreneur too is that my perspective on certain things from when I started my business, which I was still working in corporate when I launched it, to today, which is a little over a year old, 74 weeks, is when you let go and you're grinding, but you're also kind of letting go to these preconceived notions you have or the noise that's around you, your own perspectives can change more than you can even imagine. Again, like I brought up earlier, I never thought I'd leave New Jersey. And I joke with my boyfriend, I'm like, I never thought anyone would get me out of New Jersey. And now we're going to be moving to Alaska. I always said, as someone born in the South in August, in the heat of weather, I'm that person that wears a sweatshirt in 80-degree weather. I said, I'm never going somewhere colder than the Northeast. Now I'm going, okay, we're going to Alaska. I'll figure it out. I'll adapt to that environment. And so I think really when you kind of let go to the noise around you and what others are deeming you should do as an entrepreneur or do as an individual to meet what they deem success is, remember, that's really because that's what they have correlated with success, is what they're telling you should do. As an entrepreneur, we've always been told to some extent too, you have to be super niche, you have to do this, you have to do that to be successful as an entrepreneur. You have to hold to some extent the power you have and the vision you have. And I think sometimes the vision you have to trust it within yourself. I remember when I started my business and podcast, November 1st, 2022 is when they both launched. And I was doing a networking event a few weeks later. It was about 18 weeks later. And I sat in this call. I thought it was going to be a one-on-one call. Ended up being a group call with a few different entrepreneurs. And I'm sitting and they're telling me I'm not niche enough. My podcast isn't going to succeed because it's not niche enough. My consulting business isn't going to succeed because I'm not niche enough with the clients I'm looking for. Age range, demographics, all these things. I'm not niche enough. And I'm going, I have this vision. I know I'm going to stick to it because at the end of the day, I'm going to look back with regret. Now, there were some people I did listen to as I grew my podcast out or this or that. I took nuggets. I listened to what people were asking me, right? My consulting business, I still consult with entrepreneurs. I still consult on strategy, processes, all these team development. But a lot of it has now working with individuals starting their own podcast, improving their own podcast, sponsorship decks, helping hosts get their own podcast, or helping individuals who don't have a podcast get on the right podcast to tell their story and connect with the community. And that all came from when I started listening to others going, you're really good at this. You're really knowledgeable about this. I would love to sit down with you and talk to you more about these things. So I listened to that, but the overall vision of not being super niche and being able to connect with anyone because of my own life experiences, because of the industries I've worked, because of the certifications I have, I vision that. And that call happened between week 18 and 19 of my business being open. It happened on a Monday. And Friday, I found out my podcast was a top 10% most listened to podcast globally.
It's awesome.
Without any promotion.
Yep.
It was just people organically loved it. And it was that moment I woke up to that email that Friday morning being notified. And I was like, and they said I wasn't going to succeed and be successful because I wasn't niche enough.
Dude, it's funny. I was told many times this. don't work with athletes. They're not going to be able to pay you. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I really don't know what your show's about. Doesn't make sense. I'm like, then you're an idiot. You're not listening. Straight up. Like, I'm sorry. Like you know, all these different people saying certain things. You can't have a top 50 entrepreneur podcast unless you dump like $7,000 a month into it. I'm dumping zero into it right now, and I'm 34 in entrepreneurship in the United States of America in Apple.
Okay. And I think
I'm not spending any money,
Yep.
And I'm looking on the list, and I'm seeing John Maxwell right next to me. I'm seeing, Gary Vaynerchuk up a little bit. I'm seeing all the names. I'm like, well, there's Sean French. What do you mean it's not going to work?
Well, and that's the other thing I really want to hype on right now, because this gets me going as well. And I think there's a really big misconception is you don't have to dump thousands of dollars as an entrepreneur into your business. You don't have to dump your life savings. No. Again, sometimes it's depending on what you're doing. If you're starting a product line, you're gonna have to
different.
It's a little different, right? But we'll use the topic of podcasting, since we're both podcast hosts and I do a lot of consulting. There's a few misconceptions within the world of podcasting. One of them you just mentioned is you have to dump thousands of dollars into doing your show, building it out right, getting the growth. I have a lot of people come to me and ask me about marketing of my show. Like, how much do you spend on marketing your show? How much do you spend on promoting it? What do you do? And I go, I drop a promo video every single Tuesday when the episode drops, and I tag.
That's all I do.
Literally all I do. I don't spend money on marketing companies. I don't spend money on doing, creating all these sizzle reels. I don't do all these things. All I do is, hey, listen to it. Here's the guest. They're awesome. Yeah. Check it out. Now I will promote, I will also promote, like I'm on your show when it drops, to pay that forward to my audience, get them to connect. And I will also, if we hit a really big milestone, like being the only podcast listened to in all 7 continents, we're going to promote that. But it's going to be a one post, and that's it. Because there's also a fine line of hard selling versus soft selling. And I'm a big soft seller. Yeah. So that is one very misconception. I do pay money. I have a production team.
Sure.
That will do the editing for me to take it off my plate. Because the other question as an entrepreneur we have to ask is, where do we want our time going?
Yeah.
I know editing is not my strong suit, and I want to be able to help as many people in different areas as I can. So I will pay the few $100s a month so someone else can edit it, so that it's off my plate, and that's time I could allocate somewhere else. Yeah. The other thing that I think is big within podcasting, and Sean, you've probably seen it yourself with your show, is these big PR companies, these big marketing firms that are now signing people on for thousands of dollars. And I know this firsthand, guys. I'm not spitting this out, because I also get people on podcasts, right? I mentioned it. So I have a lot of clients who come to me because I guarantee get them on 8 podcasts. They pay for that. It's top podcast. It's going to be the right fit. I'm going to actually research, talk to it, to a host, make sure it actually lines. Like, there's an in-depth personal touch, and no 2 clients have the same 8 podcasts that they get. But I get a lot of those individuals that thought, oh, this marketing team sold it to me for $1,000 a month, which is more than my package even is. And there's no guarantee. They're going to reach out. And then as a host, we get these template emails that are a blanket with a promo sheet, no personalization. And we're going, why is this person trying to be on our podcast?
Yeah.
What? And these people are paying for it. And inadvertently, what's ending up happening is, and I hate to put it this way, it's ruining their reputation, because now their name is stuck negatively in my mind because someone else is representing them incorrectly. And it's also wasting my time. So now I'm not taking that business seriously.
Yeah.
And so the other part of it is, not everyone needs to spend thousands of dollars to get on podcast. us. And I think there's a lack of knowledge sometimes, or that noise that's around us, that we end up turning around and going, oh, I got to do it. This is the only way. When in reality, there's a lot of other ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the emails and the DMs, dude. It's fucking exhausting, to be quite honest with you. My favorite one, I got one on LinkedIn the other day. I just saw that your downloads are critically low. Would you like professional podcast promoter? And like terrible, it didn't even make sense in English. And it's the first time I've ever just destroyed somebody on a message. I said, dude, you didn't do your research. Here's where I'm ranked. I took a picture of it. I go, here you go. This is all of entrepreneurship in the United States of America. At that time, it was a couple days ago. I think it was 32. I go, do not ever tell me something that is not true. I'm like, do not ever message me again.
And that's the thing. I get messages on LinkedIn, and now it's become laughable. Like, I go
LinkedIn's
around,
a cesspool of shit now.
I'm like, this is ridiculous, because there's also no accountability. I will get messages, oh, I see you have a podcast. Have you thought about being on YouTube? And I'm like, I am on YouTube.
Yeah, like,
if you searched the podcast, you would have seen the YouTube link. So you didn't even do that. Like things like that, where I'm like, did you even think? I get the same ones you do. Oh, increase your listenability. And I was even at a podcast conference, and I had a company come up to me, and they didn't know who I was, and was like, you want to get in these countries? And my boyfriend was with me, and he was laughing the whole time. He's one of my biggest cheerleaders, and he's so supportive, and I love it. But we were at this conference, and he was like, well, if you want to get into these countries and improve your ranking, you have to use this system. And I go, and I'm listening to his pitch. I want to be nice, as I'm also laughing in my head because I'm already in those countries. And I'm like, okay, and why do I need to use this? He's like, well, you can't get into them any other way because they block certain, platforms. And I'm like, and my boyfriend's sitting there like looking at me, laughing. And the guy's looking, I go, well, I'm currently in 29 countries that are actively streamed, and the only podcast in all 7 continents. So I really don't think I need this. And he's like, but are you in these countries? And I go, yeah, actually I am. So I don't need your service.
What were the countries he was telling you couldn't get into?
It was like South Africa was one of them.
And I'm in it.
Yeah, I'm actively streamed on it. The 29 countries I'm in, I'm streamed every single day.
Yeah.
Palestine's one of them, and I'm in Palestine.
Yep.
One of them, I'm trying to remember because the conference was months ago, but there were like 3 others that were like kind of random, so someone could buy into. It's the only way to do it, but I'm like, no, because I'm already there. But thank you.
So stupid. Like, that's the thing though. Like, in this, this is a topic that me and some of my close friends, we talk about, because this is where the industry gets really dirty. It's people trying to just find ways to leverage people's like need or want for that success, for that notoriety, and they take advantage of it and they jack money from them. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. And it's also, I think, a big part of it. And this is why I sit down with individuals, and when we have an initial call, I'm like, even if you don't hire me, the things you're telling me right now, I need to debunk this for you. If you're going to go and talk to other people, because sometimes I'll have people tell me, well, I had a meeting with this PR firm or this or that on starting my own podcast or this production firm, and you just so happen to bring it up during our call. Or this company is also telling me they could get me on these podcasts and this and that. And I'll say to them, I want you to ask them these 3 questions and see how they answer those 3 questions. What are you going to actually guarantee me? So all my services, whether it's one-on-one consulting to speaking to, podcast consulting, when we're done, you have something tangible you can walk away with. Start your own podcast. You have 8 episodes in the bank and released by the time we're done. a podcast audit. You have a 12-page paper on what you're doing well, what you're not doing well. Things you can literally copy and paste that I've created just for you to implement into your descriptions, titles, and you don't have to do the heavy lifting. Getting on podcasts, you're going to get on a host who needs help getting guests. I'm going to get you the guests, right? All these things have tangible takeaways. When I go speak, well, I'm going to show up and speak, but I'm also going to have your listeners walk away with these challenging tasks to go and do, or we're going to work through them in the talk for you to then go, oh, I walked out of this talk with a new personal branding or elevator pitch that now I could do. And so the big thing I always say is, what is the tangible that someone can actually guarantee you? What's that guarantee? And if they can't guarantee you it, start to ask some questions. If they're helping you start a podcast, what RSS feed platform are they using? If they're not telling you a top 3 ranking, RSS feed platform, and they're pulling one out of the hat, that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
And I'll start diving into it. I'm like, ask these questions. They're like, wow, you know a lot. And I'm like, listen, even if you don't bring me on to help you meet your goals with strategy of your business or this and that, I still want you to succeed. I still want you to do well. And also, by having you ask the right questions and share with you what those right questions are to ask, because especially in the podcast industry, there's so many people right now, and it hurts me to my core, that are trying to take people for their money because the knowledge is just not there.
Yeah. I mean, it's an industry that people see how they can be recognized, right? And then they lead with that and they want that quicker, right? And then people know that, and then they prey on those people, So, I mean, I'm just grateful I haven't fallen for anything in the last 2 years, because I have, right? We all have. Like, it's been crazy. So, I just want the audience to realize that there are good people out there like Olivia, myself, that can help you get to where you want to be. Our network is really, really cool. We both know Marcus Ogden. And I'm sure there's more people that we know in common. I haven't even dug into it yet, but I'm sure there's a ton of them. And so, hey, listen, as we land the plane, if my listeners right now, I mean, I'll put it all in the show notes, and I know you wrote it in your onboarding form, but tell them where they can find you and how they can best support you in your business and to work with you.
So you can find me on LinkedIn by searching Olivia Akin or searching Achieving Success LLC. The podcast, Achieving Success with Olivia Akin, is on all platforms for audio, as well on YouTube. In case you want to listen to it, all you have to do is search Achieving Success with Olivia Akin. And then you can also go to my website, achieving-success.com. Most things are on there. And if there's something you're looking for that you can't find, reach out through the website. I'll also provide my email in a moment, because I do have a lot of people who come to me with one-offs or needing help. And if I can provide the help or even just have that conversation with you, I'm more than willing to do it. Instagram is _achieving success. And then you can email me at olivia.akin@achieving-success.com. I answer all my own emails, so I will answer every single person.
He answers them quick too, guys. Answers them quick. She's on it. She's dialed in. She's focused, laser beam. So, Olivia, thank you so much for coming onto the show and telling the audience about you and what you do and how you help your clients and businesses. And, but more than anything, thank you for getting really, really real on what's out there in the industry, and, kind of putting on your tinfoil hat with me and talking shit about all the people that are taking people's money. I think more people need to be aware. For those of you listening, go follow Olivia, follow her show, subscribe to it, listen to it, give her a written review, and stick around the people that are going to tell you the truth, right? It may hurt your feelings at first. We never intend to do that, but we're not going to blow smoke up your asses. So until next time, guys, stay determined, chase your dreams, and don't stop until you make it. Peace out, y'all. Southwest Florida is one of the most beautiful places on the planet to live. For those of you that are thinking of moving from other states to come to Florida, or even just moving to a different part of the state, I want you to think of a big, beautiful luxury home. Contact Legacy Luxury Builders. They are a family-owned and operated luxury residential construction company. As a family-owned business, they believe in the power of building not just homes, but legacies. Contact Legacy Luxury Builders.